Retro Replay Remix.
Welcome back, everybody. This is Retro Replay with a retro review of the classic arcade game Tapper. Tapper, which you may also recognize as Root Beer Tapper, was released in 1983 by Bally Midway and developed by Marvin Glass and Associates. In Tapper, you take the role of a bartender who basically has to serve drinks to an extremely thirsty and rowdy crowd. This game actually has a pretty interesting history, as you can already tell from the giant Budweiser emblazoned in the background. This game was originally released to bars, not arcades. The actual arcade machine has a bar stool footrest at the bottom of it, drink trays on the sides, and the joysticks for the game are actually Budweiser tap handles. I remember playing this game as a kid, but it definitely wasn't Budweiser related. It was a game called Root Beer Tapper. Bally Midway realized that they had a hit on their hands, but they couldn't release a beer-related game into arcades where a bunch of kids are playing these games. So they actually rebranded it as Root Beer Tapper, and that's what was later released on home consoles. That's typically the game that you get now. If you buy this game on home consoles, in any kind of collection or anything like that, it's Root Beer Tapper. Probably around 10 years ago or so, I was at a local barcade. When the barcades first started opening and showing up in my town, we went to this one downtown, and right in the front when you walked in, there was a Tapper arcade machine. And when I looked at this thing, I couldn't believe it. It had Budweiser emblazoned all over it. The arcade joystick was this awesome glass, or it was maybe plastic, but it was clear, acrylic, something like that, Budweiser tap handle. And that's one of the original arcade machines. This game was originally released with these really nice tap handles and was later changed to the smaller plastic black handle as seen in these shots. Tapper is a fairly simple arcade game on its surface. It starts out really straightforward and really simple. In this footage here, I'm kind of slow playing it a little bit for points, just showing how the game works. The point is just to sling beers down the bar at your thirsty and angry bar patrons and get all of them to go off the screen and out of the bar. And once you clear the screen, the level is over. But in this footage here, I'm kind of playing slow, trying to collect points, so you get points for these mugs. Sometimes the bar patrons will tip you, and that's what's worth the most points. I believe the tips are worth 1,500 points. They're not really giving me a lot of tips here, unfortunately. But I'm still collecting points as I'm collecting these mugs and slanging the beers. At the end of each round, you get these little mini games where you have this little bandit guy shaking up beers, and the bartender has to guess which one is not shaken up. Which one is it? Which one is it? And for each one you get right, you get 3,000 points, so that's worth quite a bit. Here we are in the second set of stages, which is quite literally sports bar themed. You can see there's basketball players and baseball players, so it's quite literally a sports bar, which is funny. But this starts getting much more difficult here. You can see there's many more bar patrons, they're drinking many more beers, and they're even angrier. So it's a lot to do, it's a lot of glasses to collect, tips to collect, and beers to serve. So it does get much more difficult from this point on. And when you actually collect a tip from one of your patrons, these cheerleaders come out and dance and try to distract your bar patrons. And when they do, if you sling a beer at them, they are distracted and they'll miss the beer, and the beer will crash off the bar and you'll lose. it is quite a lot to think about as you're playing this game. Trying to collect the empty beer mugs, slanging the drinks, collecting tips, and paying attention to all 4 rows of the bar. It's very difficult. And here I show some much more skillful beer slinging. This here is a good example of how the difficulty increases as you get further and further in these stages. You can see here there's quite a few more bar patrons, and it actually keeps increasing as you get further in the game. So that's how they increase the difficulty, and you can see there, I got the pattern down pretty well and was able to just slang the drinks in the perfect pattern and get out of this level as fast as I could. Here we are in another bonus stage. Which one is it? Which one is it? And then I want to just show here what it looks like when you actually get one of these wrong. Which one is it? Which one is it? Is it that one? Nope. Face full of Budweiser. And here we are at the punk bar. I think this one's hilarious, but this is where the game just starts getting way more difficult, and I've always struggled to make it out of this section of the game. The theme of this set of levels is just hilarious, though. I mean, that guy has a pin through his head. Look at the characters. The windows are broken. There's beer spilled all over the floor. There's puke on the back walls. It's just hilarious. You can see how much more difficult this is getting, though. The bar patrons are moving faster. The empty beer glasses are moving faster. The bars are shorter. It just gets more and more difficult, and I really struggle with this section of the game. Thankfully, though, the controls are very good in this game. They're very simple. All you got to do is move up and down, or you can run down the bars. So it's just a 4-way joystick, and then you just have to sling the beers, which there is a little bit of timing associated with slinging the beers. You kind of get a rapid timing down as you're going through this. But the controls are really simple, and they're very responsive, and they work great for the game. I don't actually make it out of this third set of levels. This just got too difficult for me. There is actually a 4th set of stages that is alien and space themed, as you can see in these screenshots here. I'm just not good enough to make it past the punk stages, which is fine. The game is still great. It's such simple, enjoyable fun. It's definitely a throwback to another era of video games. But with the simplicity, just like games like Pac-Man and these simple old games, they were extremely challenging in the simplicity and just the way they were made, which makes them still very enjoyable today. This is one of those games. It's very simple. It's very enjoyable. The controls are great. The sound is okay. It's kind of chimey and bell ringy, but that's okay. This is how games were. And it's still fun. So I still enjoy coming back and playing this game, and I love seeing this Budweiser themed version of the game. But that's going to wrap up this retro review of the classic arcade game Tapper. Leave a comment down below and let me know what your experience has been with this game. If you have any fond memories of playing this in your childhood or even recently, leave a comment down below and let me know. And if you enjoyed the video, please smash that like button and consider subscribing to the channel so you get to watch all of my future videos. Thank you all for watching. I really appreciate it, and I'll see you all again soon.